Hello friends, welcome to the channel. I am Dr. Vikas Singh Vadoria. I am working as Associate Professor in Electrical and Electronics Engineering Department, ABS Engineering College, Ghaziabad. This college is affiliated to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University, Lucknow. In today's video, I will discuss about the starting and stopping of DC link. This topic is related to the subject EHV, AC and DC, which is in the final year of BTech Electrical and Electronics Engineering branch. So let us start our discussion about this topic. And starting and stopping of DC links is related to the energization and de-energization of a bridge. Means whenever we want to start a DC link or we want to stop that, that can be done through the energization or de-energization of a bridge. So we need to consider that there are n series connected bridges located at a converter station. Now out of these n bridges, if we want to remove one bridge, so for the removal purpose we need not to only block that bridge, but we need to completely bypass that bridge. So this is the basic requirement for disconnection of that bridge at that converter station. If we are just blocking that, so this will not extinguish the current which is flowing in the pair of valves at that time whenever we just block the pulses, because at every time out of those 6 valves any 2 valves may be conducting, so that will not extinguish the current of those conducting valves. So this will result in injection of AC voltage into the DC link, and this injection of AC voltage can give rise to current and voltage oscillation in the link. Now the transformer which is feeding to the bridge, this may also be subjected to the DC magnetization when DC current continues to flow through the secondary winding. So this purpose, bypassing can be done, and bypassing can be done by the two methods. It can be done by a separate bypass valve or by activating a bypass pair. This bypass valve was used in the Mercury arc valve, because in Mercury arc valves the possibility of arc backs make it impractical to use the bypass pairs. So in the Mercury arc valves, bypass valves were used, but in the thyristor valves, bypass pair can work satisfactorily. This will also save some extra cost which is involved in the bypass valves. So this is the general connection diagram. Then in this, suppose at any time out of these 6 valves any 2 valves may be conducting, so current from the bypass pair is shunted to a mechanical switch S1. Suppose 1 and 2 are conducting, then these valves will be bypassed through this S1. Now, or these 5 or 2, these 2 will be bypassed through this S1. So this will add to the isolator. This will be done with the aid of the isolator S, and the bridge can be isolated. Means there are two isolators S and a switch S1. So with the help of these two isolators and this switch, this can be bypassed, and the switch S1 and isolator S, these two are interlocked such a way that these one or both are always closed. Now the energization of a block, this was for the removal of that bridge. Now if you want to energize of a blocked bridge, then it will be done in two stages. In the first, the current is diverted from S1 to the bypass pair. At this instant, the S1 must generate the required arc voltage, and to minimize this voltage, circuit inductance must be small. Suppose due to any reason, if a bypass pair fails to take over the current, then this S1 must close automatically. Suppose due to there may be any reason that a bypass pair will not be able to develop the sufficient current, or that will not be able to take over the current, then this as well will be automatically closed. Then in this case, AC breakers will sufficient arc voltage, but with reduced braking capacity can be used in that case. And in second stage of energization, the current is diverted from the bypass wire, and for the rectifier this can happen instantaneously, but for the inverter it may take some time. Then the startup of DC links, startup of DC link is having two different startup procedure. One is for the short gate pulse and another one is the for long gate pulse. Long gate pulse lasts nearly 120 degree, so there is not any issue with the startup of DC link with long gate pulse. In this case, current extinction will not a problem, and the sequence will be like this: that first deblock the inverter at about gamma is equal to 90 degree, then deblock rectifier at alpha is equal to 85 degree to establish low direct current, and then ramp up voltage by inverter control and current by rectifier control. So it is a simple process if the firing pulse is provided for the longer duration. There will be some issue when the firing pulse will be of a shorter period, because in this case the current extinction will not be proper. So the problem of current extinction during startup is present when short gate pulse is provided, and this may be due to that the current through the valve may not be below the, so may not be below above the latching current. So if the current in that valve is below that holding current, then that valve will not start its conduction. So for this purpose, or in starting a DC link with short pulse firing, the sequence will be little bit different. For this purpose, first step is open bypass switch at one terminal, then deblock that terminal and load to minimum current in the rectifier mode. Then again open bypass switch at the second terminal and commutate current to the bypass pair. Then start the second terminal in rectifier mode. So initially both will operate in the rectifier mode. Then the inverter terminal is put on to the inversion mode, and after that ramp up the voltage and current. Voltage will be controlled through the inverter terminal and current will be controlled through the rectifier terminal. So this will be the process of startup of these DC link with short pulse firing. The voltage is normally raised before raising the current whenever we are ramping up the voltage and current both in the DC link. So voltage is generally raised before the raising the current. This will permit the insulation of the line. This will be checked. If we are increasing the voltage before the current, so we can check the insulation with that. Then ramping of power avoids stress on the generator shaft. Then this will also reduce the switching surges in the line, and the required power ramping rate will depend on the strength of AC system. Then a weaker system will require faster restoration of DC power. This is required to maintain the transient stability, and if the ramping rates are high, then this can give rise to large voltage drop due to the requirement of reactive power at converter. And in this case the voltage drops are there, and such voltage drop can lead to the commutation failure, and the permissible ramp rates may vary from 2 to 10 per unit per second. So the content for this video is developed from this book. I hope that you like this video. If you like this the content of this video, then please like the video, comment in the comment box, and share and also don't forget to subscribe the channel for getting the latest notification of the updated video. Thank you.